right. Today we're going inside a really unique kind of training exercise. But the people involved, they aren't soldiers or police, they're volunteers. And they are getting ready for the day when all our modern ways of communicating, well, just stop working. Just picture it for a second. It's the absolute worst-case scenario. The storm of the century just rolled through. The power is out, the internet is down, and you grab your cell phone to call for help. Nothing. No signal. You can't call 911, can't check on your family. You are totally, completely cut off. So, what do you do now? Well, that's the exact moment a sort of hidden network just springs to life. These are regular people, but they have some pretty extraordinary skills. They're ready to fill that communication void when all the technology we rely on fails. You could almost say they're the backup to the backup. Officially, they're called the Auxiliary Communication Services, or ACS for short. The easiest way to think about them is like a volunteer corps, but specifically for communications. So when the professional systems, cell towers, internet, get overwhelmed or just knocked offline, ACS steps in with their own gear and their know-how to keep critical information moving. And to make sure they're actually ready for that moment, they run drills. A lot of drills. And the biggest one is this, the Golden Horseshoe Challenge. This is a massive, coordinated test that stretches across one of the most densely populated parts of Canada, and it's designed to push their skills and their systems right to the edge. So circle this date on your calendar, September 20th, 2025. On that Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., these volunteers are going to be plunged into a very carefully designed, high-stress scenario. This is not just some casual chat on the radio, It's a full-on simulated emergency test. They call it a SET. And this isn't some informal meetup either. It is a highly structured operation with a real command staff. You've got leaders like George Davis and Mike Crabtree who are coordinating the entire thing. And those letters and numbers after their names, those are their unique amateur radio call signs. It's how they're identified on the air. These are the folks steering the ship through this simulated storm. And you really start to get a sense of the scale when you see how it's all broken down. It's not just one person calling the shots from the top. No way. Instead, you've got leaders assigned to every single region, from Brampton all the way to Niagara. This creates a kind of hub and spoke system, which is absolutely vital for managing a disaster that's spread out over a huge area. It means there's no single point of failure. Okay, so you've got the people, you've got the command structure, but what exactly are they responding to? I mean, for a test like this to be any good, you need a disaster scenario that's realistic, that's challenging, and that's full of details. You literally have to craft the perfect crisis. So for this test, the scenario is a classic, but it is a devastating one. A huge storm system comes barreling in from the southwest after already causing damage in the United States, and it's heading straight for the Golden Horseshoe, bringing with it, well, a whole menu of different disasters. Now, this simulated storm is designed to create layers and layers of chaos. It's not just one problem, it's a bunch of them happening all at once. We're talking widespread flooding, damaging winds, even tornado warnings. And crucially for this team, it includes massive power and communications blackouts, maybe from lightning strikes on key infrastructure. This messy situation is meant to feel like a real catastrophe and really test how they prioritize what's important when everything is going wrong. You see, a real emergency doesn't happen all at once, right? It unfolds over time. So to mimic that, the exercise uses what they call injects, basically new pieces of information that are fed to the teams during the test. The first alerts go out the day before. Then, during the test itself, they'll get new updates about the storm's impact, which forces them to constantly adapt their plans on the fly. And the planners, they've added another fantastic layer of realism here. The disaster isn't the same everywhere. Each region faces its own unique set of challenges, custom tailored to its local geography. So while the team in Peel is dealing with a total communications blackout, the team in Toronto is battling major downtown flooding, and the folks in Durham have to deal with falling temperatures on top of it all. It's like every team gets its own custom-made crisis to solve. Now, with a crisis this complicated, you can't just have everybody yelling on the radio at once. It would be total chaos. Success here depends entirely on discipline and procedure, and that means having very clear rules of engagement, communication protocols that absolutely everyone has to follow. Communication is incredibly structured. Across the entire Golden Horseshoe region, the main test is on standard voice radio and a system called WinLink, which we'll talk about in just a sec. Then, down at the local level,
Individual teams can also test out other, more specialized digital modes. Think of these as different ways to send text messages and data over the radio, so they can coordinate what's happening right in their own backyard.
So what on earth is WinLink? The simplest way to describe it is email without the internet. It's an incredibly powerful system that lets operators send and receive text-based messages, things like official situation reports or requests for help, all over amateur radio frequencies. When every other form of digital communication is gone, WinLink can become an absolutely essential lifeline. To keep control and, more importantly, to ensure safety, the entire exercise is framed by these really precise scripted announcements. At 8 a.m. sharp, the main operator, Net Control, will announce that the frequency is now being used for the simulation. Every 30 minutes, they repeat that warning. Then, at 11:30, they formally end the exercise and give the frequency back to normal use. It is all about discipline.
But what if a real emergency happens during the simulation? That's where this critical safety command comes in. The phrase is no duff, no duff, no duff. This is the universal kill switch for the exercise. If any operator hears that on the radio, the simulation stops instantly. All radios go silent and they wait for instructions on the real-world event. Safety always comes first.
And that brings us to what might be the single most important rule of all. These volunteers are communicators. They're not first responders. Their job isn't to go out and perform rescues or put themselves in danger. No. Their role is to be the calm, clear voice that provides the vital information link for the professional first responders. They're the nervous system, not the muscle.
So at the end of the day, all of this incredible planning, all this practice, all this time given by dozens and dozens of volunteers, it really all comes down to one simple question. Why? Why does all this practice matter so much?
The goals of the test really tell the whole story. See, this isn't about getting a perfect score. It's about intentionally trying to break things. They need to find out which radio systems might fail when they're stressed, where messages get mixed up, and at what point the human operators start to get overwhelmed. The entire point of this is to find every single weak spot now, during practice, so it can be fixed before people's lives are actually on the line.
So when you look at a plan like this, just remember that behind every procedure, behind every frequency, there's a volunteer. Every single message they practice sending, every report they learn how to format, every check-in they make, it's all one big rehearsal for a moment that they, and all of us, really hope never, ever happens. And that leaves us with the final and most critical thought. The simulation ends, the radios go quiet, but tomorrow, the real storm could actually be on the horizon. The one question this whole exercise is designed to answer is this: when it really, truly counts, will they be ready?